Okay, we're going to call to order the regular council meeting on February the 26th, 2025. We're going to get approval of the agenda recommendation that the regular council meeting agenda for February 26th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Rich, Councillor Evans, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting held on February 12th, 2025 be adopted, and that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on February 12th, 2025 be adopted. Councillor Beach, Councillor Bushel, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, we're going to get started. Thanks everyone for showing up in pink. This is here where we all don our pink and make sure that we are sharing the message of no bullying. And right now in our economic climate and our political climate and the world in which we live in, I think more important than ever before to be kind. So thanks for being pink. And Siobhan's got it written on her shirt. Be kind. Okay, so delegation, we have the Sick Moose and District Chamber of Commerce. Sheila, take it away.
Who's running this for me?
I am.
Perfect. Okay. So thank you very much for having me. I'm not here to ask for anything.
Yay.
So, but what is customary is that I do visit council at least once a year to talk about what we've done and our plans for the future. And I think it's really important this year as we have a new CAO that doesn't know what we've done in the past. So I'd like to share a little bit about our history, although I did have a really nice visit with them, as I did with Daryl, and brought him up to speed, but I'm sure I forgot something. So, and I'm sure I will again today. The first thing I will mention before I do forget is I have provided all of our financials for our year end that we will have at our AGM to Bianca, who actually does review them for us as our third party reviewer. Being satisfied that we put the money in all the appropriate spots and we're using it effectively. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them on. Don't ask me here today. I have a bookkeeper and Bianca for a reason. It's not my area of expertise. Anyway, with that being said, so we're going to talk a little bit about the past and what we're looking for in the future. So some of our board members you may or may not be familiar with. We have Sam Danette, she's the president. We have Jocelyn Dishington from the Bay from Zaskew, who some of you saw today. Holly Craven Hughes, who works at the Hub, and Melanie Lutner, who's in our community and has Hang a Moose and Sick a Moose. We also have Shauna Newsom, who's probably our longest standing board member. She's been here longer than me. Maggie Spazzeri and Tammy Brown. We did have Braden from Twin Anchors, but finds himself way too busy and traveling far too much, so okay. We are in the process of looking for new board members because our AGM is the 18th of March. We have currently 3 staff members: Jessica McKay, Hannah Chipman, who's only in 2 half days a week, and I wish we could have her for longer, but that's all she'll get for right now, and Christine Dunbar. Between the 3 of them, they're managing visitor services, helping me when they can, and working for the museum as well. These are all our partners, which I'm really proud to have so many partners, and you'll see the big new one there with Splatching. That's really exciting, and I'll tell you a bit more about that in the next few slides as they are coming to the table far more. And we have got some exciting things that we're working on with them. So, but it's nice to see that many. And in the past, we've had breakfast with the mayor. So we've done that twice. I think Colleen's done with breakfast with the mayor. She keeps talking about cocktails a lot. So we're moving on. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So we've done that 2 times. And then the next slide. We had catch up with the councillors. That was the first time we've ever done that. And it seemed to go down really well. So we figure we're going to have catch up with mayor and council. And it'll be an evening event with cocktails. And it just seems to be a far more productive, people get to speak to everybody. It's not just one person having to stand up there and do the big presentation all the time. And Colleen does that.
It's not a breakfast.
Not a breakfast. So yeah, so that was last year. We had a great day, family fun day, and we've done that for years and we've had a lovely time, but Jamie and I both looked at each other at the end of that one, so that's it, we're not doing this again. The way that the beach park is set up is just not conducive to a fun day anymore. So we're gonna come up with something else, we haven't decided what that is, but that will be the last family fun day that we'll do like that.
Construction day.
Yeah, music in the park, that's something that we've done for several years. In the beach park, last year, as you can see, we had lots of sponsors and thank God last year we were actually able to do 8 full nights of music because of the weather being so good. What was really neat was the very last night was a locals night. So everybody got to come up on the stage and it was a really good, it was well attended and it was nice to see so many local people out there. It will not be at the beach park, obviously, for, obvious reasons. Parking is going to be a nightmare. So we've already talked about moving this to Finlayson Park. We are working with Morgan and Mike Biltmore has become part of our team as well. Probably we can talk about this today, that he's got a lot that he can offer, for music in the park. When we were talking today about where we're going to locate things over at Finlayson Park, he has the capacity for us to be able to move things around with the plug instead of a generator, which is costly and noisy. So, yeah, so that'll be something that we'll work on once we, put over the hump in the next couple of months here. Last year we also did a candidates forum. You doing one of those this year, I don't believe, so. It was well attended and very peaceful, which had not happened in San Bernardino. So, we were grateful that we started off ours with anybody causes trouble, they're getting kicked out. So, it was a good crowd, as you can see, but most people were very respectful. We only did one biz after biz last year. Our year just got away from us, but it was by far one of our favorites. Mike Biltmore opened up his doors. It was a long day because you can see Mayor Colleen was there cutting the ribbon first thing in the morning. And that's when they started building a guitar that day. And by the time that we finished that biz after biz, I played that guitar. So it was really, really cool.
Amazing.
He gave everybody a tour that went on until, I don't know, that was at 10 o'clock night. We had trouble getting people out of there. People really did enjoy it.
It's great.
It was a really cool venue. It's so nice to have something different like that for people to see. And our next biz after biz will actually be over at Saskew. So anybody who hasn't had a chance to go in there and see how cool that place is, will be able to experience it when we have that. And that's going to be in March. Our advocacy committee has been doing some pretty good work and has met several times this year. We just actually had a meeting with Ian a couple of weeks ago to kind of get brought up to speed on some of the things that we have all been working on with the healing center, the rec center. So we could actually report back to our members and sort of give them a status report as we'd like to move on and start looking at any other items. We've also been talking about, you have 3 of your own resolutions that you're taking to SILCA. So I've looked through the policies that are actually sitting right now with BC Chamber. There's some that they could almost fit, drill down a little bit further, but we're happy to take those all forward in the BC Chamber for you as they are.
Perfect.
Okay, so that will be in June. Okay, so we will definitely review that with you and let you know what we're going to do about it. Our pop-up, it's listing all our members. So last year we had 123. That's really where we kind of stay between 120, 125. Always anxious to have more, but we're happy with those. The map, that's something again, Carly and I were just talking about the other day. We've done 2 different maps. This one is a tearaway map. And we thought we were both really smart when we came up with that really nice shiny one that folded up and could go in your pocket, and the hotels hate it. So, because they can't write on it, they wanted the nice.
Yeah.
So we've gone back to that and we continue to, that is a chamber initiative and we will continue to work on that. And as you can see, we have all of our hotels, restaurant stores, etc., all listed on the back. If the member is a chamber member, they are highlighted. And the ones down the side that are actually marked on the map pay to be on that map. Our business directory, so this is something that we have got in our office, and this was again another initiative that we had. It's a listing because not everybody can find everybody's number anymore. They're all cell numbers and books don't come out. So especially when somebody's new here, it's like, well, who's the plumber? Who's this? We list everybody in here. They don't necessarily have to be a chamber member to be in there. Anybody with a business license is actually in there. Chamber members do again get featured with a highlight. There's also all the churches, the schools, any of the services that people would be looking for. So it's an ideal piece when somebody's new to the area. This little thing we did a few years back, we used to always do that ambassador training with houseboat companies, and we had to feed them, and I don't know how many of them really listened. It's always taking people away from their workplace, and it just never seemed to be convenient. And you didn't get to everybody, because there's a lot of people here that talk to our visitors. They could be somebody who's pumping gas, they could be somebody who's bagging groceries, whatever it might be. So we came up with this little initiative. It's just a two-sided card. It has information about where you can get gas, where you can walk the dog, where you can park, which that one's gonna have to be updated before the summer. And they've all got little QR codes, so it's a quick reference, where you get a fishing license. So if somebody is talking to somebody, they have that at their fingertips and they can provide accurate information. So it's consistent. So we try and get out to all of our members. The offer is there. If you have the time to bring your staff together, we're happy to come out and talk about what the visitor center does, what we tell our visitors, so that everybody is getting the same message. Just to give you a little wrap up of what happened last year. Wasn't as bad as the year before, because we had technically 8 more weeks of summer without having smoke and the heat to the fires that we'd had the year before. We did see less people physically in the visitor center, but we saw more people outside. So, and it seems to go that way each year. It's a nice little balance. But always our concern is the weather and, the ever-present, I hate to call it fire season because I don't like it being a season, but it's always on our mind. So just so you can see how things were looking, there's the last 4-year stats. So when I say visitor center, those are physical bodies that came into the visitor center. So you can see 3,698, so not too bad, not that big of a drop. More than 2021, but less than 2022 because everybody was out.
Yeah.
But, if you go down the next one, you'll see on the roaming side. So these are the people that we saw sort of outside. And that would be in a very short period of time because that's only 2 months really that we actually see those people outside. So not too bad. Places of origin, this one is, I always love this one. Where they come from is always really interesting to me. I think that's a different slide because there's more numbers in the one. But you can see if somebody said to me, well, what are we talking about when we were talking locals? And I was like, guys, everybody that walks through the door goes, I didn't know there was a museum here and I've lived here for 30 years. That seems to be the most popular one, but those are people that were actually identify as living here, living close. They could be in Alpha, but they're locals. Other people in BC, Alberta, other parts of Canada, 71. That one seemed close to me. Europe, 246, and Australia, Asia, 50. So yeah, it's interesting when people come through and you get to ask them where they're from and they like to tell you their stories. So we do track that. Do you want to go on down? So these are some of the things they'll ask us about. Attractions and tours, again, significantly up this year. Maps and directions, and food and beverage, that's huge. So you're trying to figure out how come we had so many questions about where to eat and where to drink. I think a lot of that has to do with the number of people that we talk to at the concession, because we don't feed them from there. If you get chips and ice cream, they want to know where to eat. So that could very well answer that question because we did have high engagement outside, so pretty good. And that's all we can do is speculate. So the one thing I will tell you is that we'll be collecting data going forward on the bridge inquiries because we have numerous calls, emails, and people that come in who want information. So we thought that would be very useful for the district to have that sort of data, and for Carly too, to know exactly how many people are wanting to know that and why. So we will pass that along as we get it. So now on to this year. So these are the things I'm really excited about. So last year we got a grant from Destination BC for the Visitor Experience Enhancement Grant. We received $15,000, and this isn't the right one either, Sarah. Because there was a dollar sign in front of it. So that's okay.
That's all right.
It's okay. I just want you to know I did know to put the dollar sign. So, anyhow, we did get $15,000 to do this heritage trail is what we're actually doing. So, you know, we had the black signs out, which were great, but there's bigger things for us to do. So there are 7 of those black signs, which we're now yanking out most of them. We will repurpose them. We've been working with Daryl to find out where we can actually put these other signs. And a lot of them are based on the Heritage Registry that was from the district being completed and the other historical sites in town. So they will go around, but they're going to be storyboards, and to be consistent, they will look like the trail signs that Carly has put out. So that's why we're using storyboards instead of those black signs, so that there's recognition. There are, I believe, 11 of them going out there. And one of the very first ones is going to be somewhere around the traffic circle. And it's going to also be attached to an audio tour. And the young lady I'm working with from Splatchini is going to start the story with the welcome at that one. So when you listen to it, it'll be the story about Splatchini, how this was their land, and then she will ask them to walk through the community, see how it's evolved, and then come back to the museum and hear the rest of the story. So, and it will be different voices on the audio tour. So it'll be kind of cool to have that. It's gonna go primarily down Finlayson. We'll probably have to locate one and relocate it because of the boat launch, but it will then go down Riverside and then back up Main Street. To bring people back into the museum about heritage and our culture. So we're pretty pumped to have this out there and really looking forward to having that audio piece and having all those voices. The way we would like to repurpose the black ones is we would like to have family stories and histories told on that, because we've got a lot of long-term families here, and we might look at using the walkway down 97 to use those ones. So when people go down, they've got a story to read. So it's kind of neat. Along with that, if you go to the next page, this whole thing is to enhance the experience of the visitors. So that's part 1. But we've got a couple of things that go on here in our community that are quite cool that we would like to expand to our visitors. So there'll be a few workshops on doing a dream capture, drum circles, and it will all be paid for, so that it will be built into a weekend so that people can enjoy it. And we did already do this. We had a tea where we talked about, it was like a high tea. And if you see the picture there, some of those people are actually in costumes. They got them from the museum in Bryn Mawr. They borrowed them. So they all showed up in period costume and they enjoyed an afternoon tea. And we had a storyteller come in and talk about the history of Sick Moose. What we're going to do for this one is we are gathering up pictures from the archives. So we'll show old pictures of Sick Moose that people come in here and are always inquiring about. So that will be done on Mother's Day. So that will wrap up that particular project. But we're excited for it to be done and to have people be able to enjoy the history and the culture here. The next one I'm really excited about, we got a grant last year for $20,000 that had a comment and from Etsy. And this was a unique experience because Carly and I were working on 2 grants that we were hoping would complement each other. And at the last minute, they told us one of us couldn't have that grant because we were exceeding the limit. So we spent a whole weekend trying to figure out who we could give one of the grants to, how we could reduce the ask, only to be told on the Monday that they changed their mind. Because they've never had a grant with 6 other communities involved before.
Right.
So they made an exception, and this is a consortium of sorts, and we are going to lead on it because it's our project. So we're pretty excited. I don't know if any of you are familiar with what is called the First Impressions program. It's something I'm familiar with because I have done it in Ontario. And what it basically is like a secret shopper program. You get people from the community, 8 to 10 people, that all travel to neighboring communities without those people knowing they're coming, and they spend a day in the community. They stop, they will eat, they will talk to community members. They just see your place through a different lens than what we see it. We take a lot of things for granted. I always use the example when I moved here, that sign from Maggie's was standing on the street corner across there, and I wondered when that restaurant was open. Never, apparently, it never opened the time I lived here. And I think that's a lot of communities. We get very complacent, we go by and we don't realize that's the impression that people get when they come, is they see abandoned buildings or the street signs aren't working for them, or the visitor center's over here, but the sign point's over there. We've had that before. So there's all kinds of things that can come out of this. It's a very good program as long as you take it to heart. Once the 8 to 10 people go to the community, they all meet back and they share their information. We're not just willy-nilly doing this, we're working with Rural BC, who actually administers this program. So I'm really excited for that because it'll have some roots to it. And once we've all provided our results, it'll be given back to them to compile it so that we can bring it all back to you in our community, so we can show you what we found out for people coming to our community. I think it's a great time to do something like this when we've got 3 years to, it's very much like COVID, how we prepared ourselves for our visitors coming back. This is a great time for us to prepare for our visitors when our bridge is done and we're welcoming, because it's going to be a struggle for the next few years. We understand that. If you look at the next slide. As I said, we are the lead community on this. It is a focus on tourism and a community assessment. The whole plan is to take that information and hopefully come back and generate some other funds so that we can start a granting program that will allow those businesses that have identified that they might need a new facade or a paint job or an awning, or that we might need something on our main street, so we can help offset those costs and get people excited about doing things in our community. And then there's all kinds of potential from that. Those results will also be shared with Carly for her report for the workshop for what she's working on. So they really were a really good match. And that was the other reason that they made an effort to make sure we both got what we needed to do those projects. So that's about it. I think if you look down, these are the things that we've got on our plate. We're gonna actually have breakfast with Mel. Arnold, he likes breakfast coffee.
Well, he's not celiac. He can eat toast.
He's all excited for that. We've got board training coming up for our own board members. So that's pretty exciting. We have a strategic planning session set up with Dan Rogers. I think some of you may have remembered Dan. He was the CAO for the Kelowna Chamber of Commerce. He's going to come and work us through our strategic plan for our organization, including this, that plan that lets me go and retire. We're working on that one. We have our business excellence awards. We didn't do them last year because we decided we want to make that jump back to the spring. We had really great turnout in the winter ones that we did. But we did that because of COVID. And that really left out all of our Alberta members. And they're usually here that last part of May, getting ready for the long weekend. They get all set up, and then we've got that bit of a lull before, the summer starts. So we're going to move it back to that. So that's pretty much what we have done and what we're looking forward to doing the next little while.
Thank you, Sheila. That's awesome. Council questions. Councillor Rich.
Through the chair. Thank you, Sheila. Quick question, and I know things are moving on the fly, but are we looking at what happens with these tariffs coming in? Like, are we looking for more Canada-based drive, or we're just gonna hope to God things don't go sideways?
Well, I think that, we are all watching this basis, and at this point in time, I think we're just all trying to do our best. Our message to our members is, we're walking around the grocery store, you'll pick up an item, you want to know if you can eat it, what's in it, you're looking about the contents. We'll start looking and seeing out where it's been made, because it's so much easier to your own country if you start putting a little effort into it. So I think we have to really do that. I know that from the BC Chambers perspective, there's all sorts of talk, but I mean, right now it is just talk. And until there's actually something that does impact on somebody in a serious way, unfortunately, you're not gonna see it.
Thank you.
Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that first impressions program. I'm really glad you and Carly are working on that and that grant came through. I wonder if you can just give us a little bit more idea of what that's told other communities, because I mean, I'm aware of it, but I think it's really important and it's going to give both of you really good solid data. So I wonder if you could just touch on it a little bit more about what it's actually going to say.
So I can tell you from my own experience. So I live in a community that, you know, we used to drive through that community every day. And as I said, there was that sign over there. This was like the main intersection and it said hotel. And it was the dive bar of the town. It was no longer a hotel, but anybody coming into town would have thought, ooh, that's where it is. From gathering data from people on the street, depends who you stopped. You'd stop somebody and say, where do I go to get the best burger? Well, age demographic, you'll get McDonald's. So you have to know who you're talking to as well. There's things about parking and that, I mean, we learned, the one place we went to, we learned they had a parking official there, but he only worked Thursday. So you could go all over, park wherever you wanted, and get a ticket. So I mean, there's silly little things, but there are also things that people just don't realize, right? That, like I said, street signs. We went to one community, they had beautiful bicycle racks. They were very simply made, but they were very effective. How the I mean, we have beautiful landscape down our main street, but there's other communities that don't, and that will probably come here and admire that. So they'll learn from us as well. When we come here, I'm probably gonna tell you, they're gonna come here and say, well, that intersection there is not helpful because it goes to 97, it goes to number 1, but it doesn't tell me about your town because we got nothing there that does. So we'll probably get some feedback, and that's one of the things we talked about is that gateway project. Carly, where we're looking at welcoming people to the Shuswap and welcoming people to the Okanagan because it happens right here. So you're gonna get that kind of data. You'll be surprised at the things. And like I said, with Rural BC doing this is not new for them. They've done it in smaller organizations and communities. There's actually one working right now through Osoyoos. So they are coming up. It was in New Denver. They had done it before.
Oh, okay.
I reached out to their chamber, but nobody's still there that worked on it, so they don't remember. But I also mentioned when they come, it'll probably be the summertime. So I asked her how she can incorporate questions about our winter, because we really do need to have that feedback. What we also have to realize is that it's going to be about 48 people coming to our community. Some may have never been here before. So what I'm hoping that we get from that is some new eyes and some new interest in our community. That these people that are coming will look at our community as a place where, hey, I can come for a day, or maybe I can come for overnight. So this can help us with our shoulder season as well, because it's something that anytime you get new people here, we have 48 people that come here, they go back home, they tell 48 people. And that's word of mouth. That is by far the biggest asset we have that we can use, is other people telling them a wonderful place this is. But once this project starts, I will be stepping back from it so that I don't taint it. So I've got Rodney Sayers as the coordinator. So she will make sure all the communities will be trained properly and we won't know each other, going to each other's place. And as of last week, we've got Chase coming on. So we don't have 6 communities now, we have 7.
Right.
So it's a pretty exciting thing, and there was talk about us being invited to talk about this at a couple of conferences as well, because it's never been done on this scale.
Awesome.
It's a pretty exciting opportunity for us, and it's not going to cost us anything.
Yay.
Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair. A great presentation, Carly. Thank you.
And you too, Sheila. Welcome.
Questions.
Yeah.
Stats on the Europeans that come to town.
Yeah.
Are most of them RVers? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
they do come and they tend to come in September and October. That's when we see those Europeans show up. They like the dry camping as well. They've got an RV, but they don't want to plug it in.
Yeah.
So I am almost fascinated. And they've always got those really tight, you know, the new black ones with the roll top on them. They're just like a van.
Yeah.
And they're fine with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you've traveled in Europe, that's how they live too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and the other one about first impression is, and I know the old school, the old museum storage place. Have you ever, do we have any plans for that? Like, I mean,
We're just talking, I don't know, we should talk about it.
yeah,
It's a great place to put an ice rink. So, and I know this discussion took place yesterday because I was texting him going, tell him we will put the application in. So the Eagles will put the application in so that we've got leverage, but if we get money for it, you've got money for it, it could be a bigger thing, but
Mhm.
we were talking today just about where would you put it? Because you need, you know, power, and power is really tough over there. And in all honesty, the museum building is in very poor repair.
Yep.
They just need a place to store the things that are in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, and there's less and less in there right now. Hannah is really trying to get a purge going on. They've done some.
Yeah.
Because she would like to change up museum artifacts. There are still gonna be some more that are gonna be coming in. Splat Sheen is actually gonna be bringing us some to put in the museum to be part of that storytelling for our other projects, so pretty pumped about that. And I should have mentioned that Splat Sheen has given Trina Antone permission to come here and work. And they're paying her to do that.
Okay,
That's a really good relationship building, and she's sitting on the trail meeting that we're on as well for it, so she'll be at those from now on. But yeah, the museum building, I don't know. Like I
okay,
said, Daryl and I were just talking about it not too long ago and said, you know, maybe it's time that we have a discussion about what happens with that.
great, thank you. I'm glad it's on the radar. Yeah, thanks, Sheila.
Cool. Councillor Beach.
Thank you through the chair. Sheila, I just want to say thank you for all of this. It's so exciting. A lot of this, you know, all the stuff that you've done and all the ideas coming forward. It's just, it's,
Still working on the muscles, haven't forgotten.
yeah, I know, you don't get anything.
No.
And I just want to,
There's a bonus.
yeah, I just want to say it's exciting to sort of think about what's coming up and what you're cooking, you know, always cooking. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And first thing I want to address is the mayor's breakfast.
I just was surprised that they don't have to do it.
No, I am, but I do, it is a sold out event, right? So I thought maybe we could just move it. So mayor and council,
It was
perhaps could do a little bit of a presentation in there so that people are brought up to speed, and then they have council to answer all of their questions and mingle with, and, you know, so,
Make it a nighttime.
yeah, just do it. Yeah, yeah.
It worked really well. I mean, there was an agenda at the last one, let's face it, we had a lot of discussion about the rail trail.
Yeah.
So I think there's multiple things that we can talk about and have a much more fulsome discussion, and definitely everybody would have an opportunity to speak. We can make it what we want to, but I think it's time to, it's, you know, like I said.
Change is good.
Nice to change it up and have a refresh every once in a while, because it gets a bit old.
For sure. And I just want to say how excited I am about breakfast with Mel Arnold. I will be there. And I encourage council and community, you know, as well as businesses to be there.
He hasn't given us a date.
Okay,
yet.
good.
So because he's our MP and he's sitting in Ottawa, this is an opportunity for us to, and Mel does support us. He's a huge advocate of Sycamore. So he is an amazing man, and he definitely shows up for us and supports us
Yeah.
in the big house.
He was quite disappointed last year when we didn't get our summer student funding, I will tell you that. He told me that, you know, he usually has 6 pages of people to call, and they were down to 2. So he was really disappointed. So we are very grateful that we get an opportunity, and we're already looking at hiring. for our summer students because we know we can, and the sooner you get on it, the better.
Mhm.
What I will tell you is I still did apply this year, but I did change it up a little bit to see if we could get some traction because I have included a cultural piece with Splatine. And I've got an agreement from Splatine to have a student, so it's a great way for our students to learn and our community to learn from our youth. So I'm hoping that might, push the dial a bit and maybe we even get some funding, but we'll just keep trying.
Absolutely. And he is a shadow minister for the fisheries. So he is also supporting council when we move forward with anything having to deal with water. So, as much time as we can get with Mel is perfect. And if we can book some time even with just council,
Like to ask-
just a bit of a workshop, that would be, or just a conversation with him. I think council would do that.
I'll set the date.
That sounds great. Also, you mentioned 123, I've got about 3 questions, sorry. 123 to 125 members that you have right now. How many businesses do we have altogether?
In town, business licenses, last time I checked, we were at 285.
That includes short-term rental.
That includes the short-term rentals as well, so probably. Okay, and that sounds great. And is there any opportunity? I don't know, and I can't remember for sure if you were part of this program when we ran the staff training program at the beginning of the season for our seasonal businesses. Do you remember when we did that at Waterway?
Like the one that we did for the lunches?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
we
what I
did,
was talking about. Like last time we tried to do that, there wasn't a whole lot of interest, right? Because you had to bring them in, you had to feed them lunch, and it was Waterways and Twin at the time, not anybody else.
yeah, so you don't feel like there's
If you want to try it again, we're happy to do it, like absolutely happy to do it, but we weren't getting a lot of traction. We even offered to go to every single one of them and do it. Yeah, we're busy. But I think it's a missed opportunity because being busy, that's great. That means you should be talking with visitors, but you've got somebody in your dock who's, maybe here from Alberta for the summer and doesn't know where you.
Absolutely, and that's the point I'm making,
Right.
that little snippet of information that you can share with
Yeah.
those folks and just train them to be ambassadors for our
And
community.
That's why that
It's so
one
valuable.
pager was so handy, because even if we just get that to them and have them understand that they don't have to have all the answers, but they can very quickly get them.
Yeah.
By just clicking on there and provide that to the guy in the boat, right? So, we try every year and we will this year again. We will still make that offer, but if there's an opportunity to have people come together and do a little bit of a presentation that's a bit more.
And,
we're happy
yeah.
To do it.
And I'm not talking just houseboat companies, I'm talking about all businesses in the community that could use, that don't have the time to sit down and train their folks because they're busy, right? Business owners like, as Ian as an example, he's busy, he's running around, he's doing this, he's doing that. So he's relying on someone else to train his staff, which might not be the best idea, right?
Some days not.
Some days not. So it's,
And it could be something where we look at, we do a restaurant day where we do it really kind of in the middle of the afternoon where it's a little bit of a downtime because lunch is over and we're not ready for supper. And it could be that we work with the marinas at a totally different time.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of potential and we're more than happy to do any of it.
yeah, okay, no,
Yeah.
thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
So
Go ahead, Bianca.
business licenses. So when we did renewals this year, we had 442 total licenses renewed, of which 139 were short-term rentals. So we have about
There's
300. But we do have some that get intercommunity and they're really like outsiders. So we do 63 intercommunity.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
Well, 50%.
Yeah, but still cool. Yeah.
And when you look at our community versus like a Salmon Arm or some of the other ones, that's a pretty high number.
That is high,
for
actually.
membership. So it's pretty good. We'd love more, obviously. And I mean, there was a time where we were trying to make member business licenses. We'd all be getting to memberships, but that's a disaster. So, there are things that you can work on. That's definitely one. Enderby, just so you know, has just brought their chamber back online. So with information as well. and encouraging them to make sure that Scratching is part of that first impressions program with them, because it's chambers in the communities that will be managing it.
Excellent. Anyone else? Sheila, thank you so much. Great job. Keep up the good work. Okay, moving.
Say, please come to the hockey game on Monday and Tuesday.
Yes. Please don't forget everyone to be at the hockey game Monday and Tuesday. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, bylaws and policies, municipal and regional tax bylaw number 1104/2025, first, second, and third reading. Recommendation that the municipal and regional district tax bylaw 1104/2025 be given first, second, and third reading this 26th day of February 2025. Councillor Evans, Councillor Bushel, Bianca, take it away.
Okey dokey. So this bylaw is required in order to continue collecting MRDT tax as a part of the 5-year renewal process. So previously, a bylaw was not adopted, which was actually incorrect, the council resolution, but we're fixing it this go around. So this bylaw, it's pretty simple bylaw, 1-pager. Pretty much a copy and paste of Kamloops and Kelowna, because they have a very similar setup. They receive the tax and then disperse it to another organization for administration. So in our case, the Development Corporation. This bylaw outlines no proposed changes to the tax itself. It's still at 2%, so no changes there. There's some time sensitivity to this. We very recently found out that it was done incorrectly in the first place. It doesn't need and we need to do a bylaw. So the 5-year renewal is actually due at the end of this month, so a couple days. And then we've gotten an extension for a late adoption of this bylaw. Because Destination BC realized that we were checking all of our boxes from the last application, which boxes were a bit different. So should council and or the Dev Corp decide in like the next 5 years, something where they wanted to change how administration worked or anything like that, this bylaw is amendable. But it really just needs to set that rate, that 2% rate. And yeah, and then also just a part of this renewal process, which is just a little side note, in that they need Carly and the Dev Corp needs to receive 50% support from accommodators and get them to sign off on that. And they've received that threshold. So this is kind of like the last little checkbox done correctly this time. And yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Bianca. Okay, any questions, council? All right.
I do.
Councillor Bailey.
You answered my first question that, because I was like, oh, I don't think we had a bylaw before. Right, okay. So I just want to make sure, because I always like to have council have flexibility, because, you know, I might not be here in a year and a half. We all might change. In terms of, because you actually have the district, the Development Corporation there, is it better to actually have it as assigned by council or administered by council? So if, say, DevCorp becomes a society, or it becomes like somebody, you know, like they become a nonprofit instead of a corporation that runs, let's say it morphs into like a nonprofit. And then if we have their name on it, then we have to come back and do the bylaw, where we could just do it through a servicing agreement. Does it have to be actually in the bylaw?
Through the chair, from what I've seen, it's best practice to have it in the bylaw itself, and then if need be, we would amend the bylaw. Because there'd be a lot of other things like conversations with Destination BC and everything, and a process in place in general, because the Dev Corp does all the legwork of that 5-year plan. And should that change, there would also probably be other things that change in that. So just the wording in here, there's gonna be a big formal process should it change anyways. So if that makes sense.
And then, okay, thanks for that. Sorry if I just follow up. And then just the kind of the other part of it is, geez, man, that just went out of my head. I did have a really good follow-up question. maybe if someone else has some questions, I'll come back, but yeah.
Bianca, go ahead.
And I think one of the things too, just to highlight the and reviewed by the district of Sycamoose kind of just puts that review aspect in there of the district reviewing things. And it kind of gives us a bit of that wiggle room that like on an annual basis, we're reviewing it, which kind of is kind of that disclaimer of should we not be happy with that review, then it's amendable, right?
Oh, I know what the question was. So the, sorry,
Okay,
thank you,
Again.
if you don't mind.
feel free, go ahead.
So, I mean, we're, the district of Sycamoose is the collector of it officially. And then we go ahead and we, yes, okay. So that hasn't changed. And then just another small one. And,
Sure.
so just I guess, so yeah, it's pretty easy to amend it if we had to, right? Okay, it's just a typical bylaw. It doesn't mean we have to go back and do a bunch of legwork with, no, okay, all right.
Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair.
I'm just trying to understand it, sorry.
Carly's in the room. Carly, we spoke today and you guys surpassed the 50%. But you did that with, pretty good results, didn't you? Yeah, sure. Just to let everybody know.
Yeah, through the chair.
I guess I'm
So
passing
in
chair on to
preparation
you.
for this renewal, we've been doing consultation and information delivery to the business community, but primarily the accommodators because they are the ones that sign off since November. So our more engaging pieces that they were invited to were the Red Barn session. And then I've emailed out our top line draft of what the next 5 years will look like and have given a deadline for feedback as part of the consultation process. And because of the busyness of our accommodators, we did more one-on-one, like I would actually go into the business, and most conversations were about a two-hour conversation with them. And it was great. Like I said, there was no hesitancy with any of the owner operators that I did talk to. They're all very excited with the direction that we're going, and they see the value in the guides and the digital presence and the fact that we share all of our content that we get. So all the photos and videos, they're all, eligible to take them. I build that into all my contracts. So yeah, we're sitting at right now. This year also was different than last year's. We had to consult with any short-term rental that did direct booking for four or more units. So those are conversations with our largest STRs that contribute to that 51%. It's 51% adoption. And right now of the ones that I needed to consult with, I'm just missing one STR I just haven't been able to connect with them, and then a hotel. But regardless, we've hit our threshold successfully and they're very happy. So again, as we talk about like tourism advisory committee and having that voice, I think they're really starting to realize that it is important that they're there to showcase or to be a part of the whole process. So I think our engagement from that accommodation sector in our terms of reference is going to be wildly different than the last 5 years.
Thank you, Carly. Go ahead, Councillor.
Through the chair, Carly, and it's a conversation with you and it came up yesterday with the digital billboards. I mean, honestly, the more I look into it and with no return on investment or back, putting all our eggs in one basket at $100,000, I don't feel comfortable going to taxpayers.
Just a point of order, what this is.
Yeah, but I need to know if that's what we're doing. Yeah, I know, but that's where some of this money is going. So I need to know if that's where we're going with this. And I've got to be able to speak to taxpayers. And I'm speaking to taxpayers with that. So that's my question.
Go ahead, Bianca.
Yeah, and just note, so that would be, right now, that's the economic development budget, and that'll come back to council, whereas this is strictly tourism for the MRDT bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you feedback on that, on the Red Barn, because I heard from quite a few people that said it was great. And I actually talked to the guy today that they engaged to do the 5-year plan. He's really good. Like, he's a really top shelf guy that I think will, between Carly's expertise and him, will really develop the bones for a nice 5-year strategic plan. And I think one of the things that I feel like there's a lot of great ideas and there's a lot of stuff that gets piled in to I think Carly a lot of times. And it's like, hey, do this, do that. But what the stage we're at now, which is exciting, is we're gonna have a framework around it. And we're gonna go, here's the strategy around it and here are the goalposts. Here's how we measure success. And it might be, thanks for the really great idea, but it doesn't fit in with this. And so I'm excited because I can see some of the maturity that is now growing into our management systems around it. And I certainly hope the accommodators become a part of it. Because I think it's critical, like in every single time that you see how this runs and how it runs well, they're a part of that. They're part of the discussion. And it's always hard when you try to start something new. But what I did hear back from all of those people who were a participant, they loved it and they were excited about it. And I think that's a really good trend.
Excellent. Anything else?
Through the chair, yeah, I had a question, but I think that Bianca's statement about, this is just about tourism. It's not about all economic development. I was looking at it from the point of view that it was very narrow.
Yeah.
On tourism.
Doing MRD.
Yeah.
Just another quick.
Sorry. Because I just wanted to touch on we had, I didn't mean to give you a rough ride yesterday. There's questions around that. And I think one of the things that we're hearing is that council wants to be a little more involved. I think there's a lot of avenue that we can do that for and work together around that. So around, some of the expenditures, I think it's just will be an evolution.
It'll come back. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm comfortable with this because that was my question was like, oh, why didn't we have this before? But now it's pretty clear that we just did it. Oops. But yeah, I mean, I think we're probably at that stage where we're evolving. So
Perfect. Thank you, Carly. Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Opposed? You're opposed? Yeah. So Rich is opposed. Okay, moving forward, staff reports, development permit. Number 25 DP 001-50 and 100 Old Town Road. Recommendation, the District of Sycamoose authorize issuance of watercourse development permit number 25-DP-001 for the subject properties located at 50 and 100 Old Town Road. Could I get a mover on that? Councillor Rich, Councillor Bushel. Nicole, take it away.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, so this is watercourse development permit for 50 and 100 Old Town Road. So as a reminder, 50 and 100 Old Town Road, they're pretty big parcels of land, I would say at the end of Old Town Road. In the OCP, they're designated comprehensive neighborhood plan, which I think might be the only designation in Sycamoose, and I'm sure some of the councillors know a little bit about the history of these properties and that designation. And with that designation means some split zoning. So in the past, the property has been zoned in anticipation of future development. So I didn't list all the zones in there, but I know we have RVP3, there's some commercial out there. There's still a little bit of agriculture on the top there as they figure out what they want to do with that piece of the property. But for now, split zoning in anticipation of future development. The proposal itself is a 6-lot subdivision, and this is the watercourse development permit to support that. And so these are a little bit, I would say, busy plans or very big plans. It's a 3-pager and kind of outlines 2 of the lots on the left and then some bigger lots on the right, a couple smaller ones to the left there, and then a remainder lot, which is pretty much the hill there. Okay, so for the riparian areas protection regulation, the assessment report, the developer hired WSP Golder, and they completed a report that they submitted to the province to satisfy the riparian area protection regulation requirements. And that report discussed further development of these 2 bigger lots into smaller, more developable lots. And The report had some really general and very typical environmental monitoring suggestions, and then some general recommendations for future development. And we did receive confirmation from the province that it meets the standards of the wrapper. So that's great news. The recommendation tonight is to authorize issuance of the watercourse development permit. And maybe what I will add is the watercourse development permit is a requirement of the phase development agreement that the district entered into with the developer. I think it was probably late 2023, and a requirement of subdivision. So they are just wrapping up some of those final conditions so that they're able to get these 6 lots going and further developed.
Council, any questions? Comments?
Oh, I want to vote for
You want to? All right, let's call the question. All in favor? And that's carried.
it. That's great news.
Dean, CAO Dean?
You wouldn't mind a comment, Chair? So these development permits, legislation, the province limits us. So council can receive these and approve these, but they have to only consider the regulations within the OCP for this DP area. So you're bound to the parameters within the OCP. So in this case, the riparian regulations. So they fall in a category that in most communities would be considered a technical development permit, where you don't have the parameters to say, I don't like this. This has to not have a criteria of the regulations be met. So the biologist will have had to make an error, and that would be an opportunity for you to decline it. So you actually technically can't say no to a DP. So quite often in communities, these are delegated to staff. They would review the application in the context of the technical reports, then would evaluate it according to the OCP, which is approved by council, in this case also approval of the province, and would be able to issue the DP. Wouldn't have to go through this process of coming to council for approval. So most communities have this type of development permit delegated to staff, which is about a 6-month saving in process time. So as we look to try and create some more efficiencies, development applications, this is one of the areas that we identified would be an opportunity for some time savings and some money savings for the development community to have this delegated to staff. Council really doesn't have an opportunity to say no to it anyways. You're relying on your staff to evaluate it and report to you anyways. So that delegation bylaw would give them the ability to then go ahead and issue the permit based on the criteria council's already established and save having to come to council and do this process. So we're hoping to bring a delegation bylaw forward to you a little bit later this spring or early summer that would incorporate these technical development permits as part of it for you to consider. And then in the future, there's a bunch of opportunities you can talk about, but this would be the place we'd want to start, is with the technical DPs where they really specifically about, in this case, riparian, so a biologist report, and potentially in the future, geotechnical, those kinds of technical reporting would not require a trip to council, which is a significant savings as far as staff resource time, but also your agenda time and the developer's timeline and schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To the chair, I just want to say thank you, Dean. I think this is something that this council's been working towards to streamlining and trying to figure out how to make this easier within our community. So I think this is our first step and I appreciate it. It's huge.
Yeah, and I think it's a good conversation to have. I mean, I certainly, as a counselor, like to know about what development permits are coming up, but you know, if there's systems that we can put in that are better, that makes sense, let's look at them. I don't think this council has ever said anything different than that. Like, we can make it better. I think everyone's open to doing it. My goal always with development is faster the better, and getting projects built in Sigmas are critically important. So if that lends itself to that, then I think we'll have a good discussion with the bylaw.
Absolutely, and I'll echo that as well. I mean, if we can streamline processes and move forward for, you know, development in our community and cut through some of the red tape that, you know, and time, that would be great. So thank you for that. Okay, I think we've called the question, didn't we? Yep, we're good. Great. Moving right along. Letter of support for Okanagan Basin Water Board. This came to council last meeting, and there's a proposed motion that council send a letter to the Honorable Randy Neal, Minister of Water, Land and Resource Stewardship, in support of the Okanagan Basin Water Board's aquatic invasive species 2025 prevention calls to action. I don't know how I missed this last meeting, but if you want to have a look at it, there's the Okanagan Basin is requesting some urgent actions from the minister and immediate funding for IMDP, which is 5.5 million, mandatory inspections for all watercraft, federal action involving the federal government to get more provinces, Western Canada invasive mussel-free zone involving provinces, align penalties across provinces. Alberta's got a $4,200 penalty. I think ours is a lot less than that, 400, or it's not as much as throwing a potato chip bag out of the window. And create clear policy to limit chemical use for the rapid response. So I would like council consider to send a support letter following this and share supporting all these actions. Did I get a mover? Councillor Rich, Councillor Beach, any discussion? All in favor? Do you want to, or do you have some discussion? Any discussion? Again,
Discussion.
oh, sorry, Pam.
He supports it.
She's.
Yeah.
All in- all in-
Sorry, it's a muscle thing. Of course you support it, like, of course.
Yeah, no, we need to really support this, so.
Perfect. So all in favor, everyone's in favor. Okay, carried. Thank you.
I know what you're gonna say. With muscles,
Okay, so then we have some correspondence. CSIS request for donation.
we do that, yes.
Didn't we deal with this already? Go ahead, sir.
Through the chair, so I wasn't in attendance at yesterday's meeting, but there was a presentation from CSIS, so this is tied to that presentation, so I would just defer to the CFO to comment.
So they did a
Motion.
motion in council and approved that for $2,000. So that'll be included in the financial plan.
Budget.
Okay, directing staff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
BC Association of Farmers Markets request of letter for support. Councillor Bushel and seconder, Councillor Bailey. Okay, discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we did, I think Deb wrote an email to us all saying that she wasn't, sure if our farmers market were getting many of the coupons. They were going to more seminar, but she has spoken with this group and BC Farmers Markets, and they're working together, so it'll probably improve this year. So we're looking forward to, it'd be better. So that's all I wanted to add.
Okay, and they're just looking for a letter of support. Okay, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. Correspondence for information. Does anyone have anything in the correspondence they'd like to speak to? Councillor Evans?
I was just looking at the thank you card from the Sigamoose Eagles. And I just thought to myself, what a great team we have, and what a great community that supports the team. And it's just such a pleasure to see those young men when they would come and have dinner at the hub a couple times a month. And I could see them there, and the fine young men that they are. We're a blessed community to have that team. So, hey, it's a pleasure. Thank you for the thank you card.
Anything else in there that anyone wants to address? Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, this town of Oliver there, they were asking for support, and I haven't done a whole bunch of homework on the Crown Grant airports. It's where airports operate on Crown land, I guess. But it's interesting, it's there's always somebody looking for support, but I just wanted to let you know I haven't done any homework on it. It had something to do with airports.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. Counselor Rich.
Through the chair and back to our farmer's market. The other thing that Deb's opening this up to and that they're working on with these coupons is for our seniors. So Sycamus has got 40% seniors here and they're trying to make the coupons available to our seniors. So hopefully again that that money comes back to our farmers and our community here in town. So she's working hard and we appreciate Deb.
Absolutely.
Thumbs up, Deb.
She's amazing. Yes. Okay, anything else? Okay, we'll move on. Columbia Shuswap Regional District for information. Go ahead, Councillor Bailey.
I actually read the minutes for the hospital and meeting, and it's just a 1.9% tax increase. But I did notice in there, and maybe this is something, if Jody or someone else is coming, could talk to us or send us the 5-year financial plan for the hospital, because pretty important stuff. But really nice to see that they're trying to keep taxes low there as well. So, but yeah, I don't know if that's something they're going to touch on when they come here for CSRD. They will. Okay. All right.
Can we ask for it as well, Bianca? Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mayor and Council reports. Councillor Evans.
I would just like to say, what a great group we are for all the time that we're putting into the finances, but more importantly than that, thank you to our amazing staff. Job preparing the proposals and looking at budgets and doing such a good job on the books. And I wish that they were in charge of the finances of Canada.
I wish they were sitting there as well. Bianca? How do you feel?
No comment.
Councillor Rich.
I've had a couple of meetings about Indigenous Day coming up June 21st with the schools, with Dean. So really looking forward to bring that all together. It's going to be we got time. It's going to happen. It's going to be awesome. And also have met a little bit about trails. So still excited about the trails and what's happening there and how we can move that forward. And I went to Saskatoon today and had cake. The cake was great and you should see the back of the wall. Like it's phenomenal. Someone go into Saskatoon. It's awesome.
Excellent. Councillor Bushel.
Yes, thank you, through the chair. Yeah, I had a couple tours. I took Mike Milton from Riversong Guitar out to Polytech out in Malacqua, and Scott McQuaig, who runs Polytech, does a lot of carbon fiber and fiberglass work. And Mike is looking at building he has patents and everything for drums. He doesn't just do guitars, but he wants to start the drum business. And these drums are like a really wanted drum from key drum players. And they were first brought out back when Led Zeppelin was playing. And John Bonham, the drum player, used these in all the concerts. And as you notice that, and if you go to a concert now, nobody, the new technology is electronic drums, but nobody plays electronic drums at a concert. It's always drums. So Mike thinks he's got a little bit of a niche here.
Mm-hmm.
So we went out to Scott's factory. Of course, he can build them, and he can build them out of Kevlar or whatever he wants, which is really cool. And then another thing Mike did is he took a guitar with him and he opened up this guitar. And this guitar was carbon fiber. And he also has the patent for this guitar that was made in the States. And so a nice little marriage there. Maybe these two
Work together.
And they're going to come and do a tour of his plant now. And it was kind of really special moment to go out there and see Scott and his team.
Yeah.
They were really, and there were some of his employees are guitar players, so they were just blown away. So it was really special. We also had a special meeting for our resolutions, our UBCM and SILGA resolutions. So that was last week. Our finance meetings, Bianca's keeping us, we're still chiseling away at our finance meetings. We had that one yesterday. And then I attended the grand opening at Saskatoon today. And then also wanted to say, I'm sorry I can't make it on Friday. We're having like a pizza day, like a little going away for Daryl, and a welcome to Dean. And it's great working with both of them, having them both here and working with both of them, and welcome aboard, and thank you for everything you've done. It's really good.
Excellent. Councillor Beach.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I continue to sort of tap into the Energy Future online meetings, and the last one was February 20th on changing politics and how it's reshaping energy and electric vehicle policies. I find this stuff quite fascinating, actually. So that was interesting. And of course, did the special meeting. We had the on the resolutions as well, and the interagency was pretty well attended on the 18th here in council chambers, and that I think we met a couple of new service providers that hadn't been out before. So that's always exciting to sort of meet people firsthand. So yeah, and well, I went to the River Songs, Mike Milmore's River Song facility and saw what he's doing there, and that was exciting. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, I've been to all the else has. There's been a lot of togetherness, so that's great. I touched on, yeah, a lot of togetherness. So, yeah, no, but one of the things I did want to touch on was kind of I alluded to it when I was talking to Carly, was about the 5-year plan that they're now doing for tourism. And I sit on the TAC board as part of my council responsibility. And it is, I think, exciting. And what I did ask the guy, and I talked to Carly too as well, is having him come and present to council along with Carly once that plan is done, because I think it's going to be one of these pieces that we really need. And having a lot of alignment around it will be really important, and having council's backing of it, I think, will be really important, because it'll focus us. But with focus, also, you have to say no. And I think that's what's exciting, is that, you know, we're going to agree on a set of strategies for the next 5 years around tourism, on what it should be achieving and how to measure it and where to focus and where to direct our energies and money. And so that will open a lot of opportunities for it, but it'll probably close a few doors in terms of what we can't do, right? And so I think that's going to be exciting, and it's going to be a good part for council to engage in as well. So yeah, more to come, but I think all of the stuff that I've talked to him about today, he's really good, and he knows his stuff inside and out. And he used to run destination marketing for, I think it was BC or Canada. I mean, really experienced. So yeah, Carly definitely has picked up a top shelf guy to work with and a team. And there's other components to it as well, around economic development and economic impact. So there's some really good stuff. So I think we should really have him come here, and hopefully there's a budget for it. Maybe that'll be something council have to decide. But it's pretty exciting stuff, and it'd be nice to have council all involved in it. So yeah.
Great, thank you. No, that's it. That is exciting, and it's tourism and economic development do work, hand in hand. Councillor McCabe.
Nothing to report. I attended the finance committee meetings and is involved in the SOGA resolutions. A thank you to staff for helping us through establish what our tax might be this year. It's looking promising. I think it's in camera, so can't see what it was, but yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Malcolm. Have fun.
Thanks.
Have fun, more fun. So yeah, glad that we had the resolution pushed through, and we've got our resolutions going to SILGA, so that's great. I want to make another resolution. I want to kill daylight savings time. It's March the 9th, we go into daylight savings.
I like it.
I want to stay at this time, and I think it's been discussed and approved, and no one's moved it forward. And why we need why we have to depend on the US when, here in Canada go 27 time changes. So I don't know what the big deal is. So I'm on a anti daylight savings time.
Let her rip.
So, have a CSR, was at a CSRD board meeting, last week and, finance meeting this week and like thank Councillor Rich for chairing that and, thanks staff for doing such a great job and keeping us organized and in line. I went to Saskew's grand opening today for their ribbon cutting and grand opening. And I just want to repeat a big thank you to Saskew for being part of our community and for supporting our businesses and supporting our not-for-profit. And they bring a lot to our community and have always been fast and strong here. So big shout out and thank you to them. Tomorrow is CSRD Committee of the Whole Finance. Super excited, another finance meeting. So that's tomorrow. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Daryl for being part of our team and working with us and sharing your time with us. And sad to see you go. And thank you very much for everything that you've done from council and staff and myself and our community.
And you're. Yeah, you're one of ours now, so know that. You can't get away from us.
Have your cell number, your personal cell.
I just thank you for the kind words. It's been a pleasure, working with you and gonna miss everyone, because like I said before, when I took the position, I love you guys and, it's been really special. It's a very special community and it was a very tough decision, but, with Dean, you've got some really good things ahead of you. You've got a really good man that's gonna lead your staff and lead the community. So, but it has been a pleasure and I thank you.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you, Daryl.
And welcome, Dean. Monday, you have no more training wheels. You're taking them with them on Friday, so
But I'm
feel free
certainly,
to run amok in the community.
I really appreciated Daryl being here. It was very helpful in transitioning and understanding what's going on. So it's a great staff and it's been great working with Mayor and Council. So I'm excited to be here.
Excellent, good. Okay, so we're gonna go into public input. And gallery, please, Mary. Yes, of course, and I have a letter from you here, which I will forward.
Thank you. I'm having attended budget meetings for the last two sessions. I'm coming tonight to ask on behalf of the Seniors Activity Center to change our request from November for ongoing funding to a one-time funding. I understand there's some funding in the age in place budget, and we would like to apply for that for our Seniors Activity Center to get us over this hump, and so we can get some more applications out for different organizations, BC Gaming, et cetera, for supporting funding. And as of today, we served 77 people for lunch with 15 volunteers, et cetera. Tonight, there's 12 people at the senior center playing cards, et cetera. And we're expanding all of our activities there. So I would just like to put forward a request for the Seniors Activity Center for the funding through the Aging in Place Center.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. Anyone else online? No? Okay, we're good. All right. So we are going to now move in camera. Recommendation that council exercise its authority under the community charter, move in camera under the following section. Litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Could I get a mover? Councillor Bailey, Councillor Bates, all in favor. And we are going in camera at 6:19. Thank you, Mary, for being here. Thanks for being part of the finance meetings.
Working in county.